Hello, this is Lawrence Lewis.
And this is Sister Christian.
Today is Monday, June 8th, 2020. This is the Producer's Happy Hour, a podcast with two producers on opposite coasts reaching out to discuss the issues involved with getting the film industry back to work safely.
We find ourselves being asked to take on greater responsibilities from a variety of guidelines created by multiple sources. It can be overwhelming. Now, more than ever, it's important for us to keep sharing our experiences and our ideas.
So email us, or better yet, record a 1 to 2 minute voice memo and send it to producershappyhour@gmail.com. Just follow the instructions on our website, producershappyhour.com.
And please share the show with your friends, family, colleagues, landlords, everyone.
Everyone.
We're all human and we can relate.
Yes. So, Christian, we have an interview today, but we took a week off because a lot happened, obviously.
I mean, I feel it in my bones. I think real change is on the horizon and I'm very excited. I'm also, frustrated and tired and angry and all the things that, we were just ripe for because coming out of a pandemic that we're still in, actually.
That we're still in.
Yeah, it was an important week.
So, we took last week off because we didn't feel that there was any other conversation that should have been happening other than what was happening on the streets regarding the social injustices that are systemic in our society and our culture.
Yes, and Black Lives Matter.
And Black Lives Matter. And Christian, I know you went out and joined some of the protests on the street, as did I here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. And then also began the real work that needs to happen in order for us to move forward. And a lot of that has to do with educating yourself.
So we are going to talk about that on the show today, but we also have an interview with Mercedes Allen-Sarria, who is the Director of Production and Immersive Content at Helo. There, she oversees the production for all of the company's commercial and experiential projects.
We should be clear that this interview was recorded on Friday, May 29th, but since we put this show on hold last week, we are presenting it today, and some things may have changed. I'm sure that a few things may have changed since it was recorded, but please know that it is relevant in a sense that it does talk a lot about kindness.
Yeah. So, Christian, how are you?
Well, I'm energized. I have a lot of enthusiasm. I'm also sad and angry. The awakening that's happening out there is just the tip of the iceberg. So I know it's a long road that we have ahead of us. Mm-hmm. And then in the midst of, wanting to be out and about with protests last week, I'm dealing also too with getting calls for work. It just puts another urgency on the fact that we still don't quite know how to navigate the new world of production.
Right.
So I guess you could add to the long list, stressed, a little bit stressed.
Yes. Yes.
How are you?
I'm thoroughly turned upside down. I think last week I was so angry and so sad. Mm-hmm. I felt so much rage that I don't remember when the last time I felt like that was. And so I've completely ignored anything that was happening with film production and was completely focused on joining the protests on the streets and here at home, learning what I can do, learning how I can better educate myself, and starting to dive in and do that work. And it's a long haul. Coming to terms with realizations like you and I were talking, I don't know a Black production supervisor here in Los Angeles. In fact, I may not know one in all of the United States. And shining a light on my own implicit biases and learning how to change them.
Yes. Yeah. Realizing that we do all of the hiring for freelance personnel, right, on our jobs. So we're considered for lack of a better term, the gatekeepers.
Exactly.
Yep. And we can, with our privilege, we can choose to hire whomever we want. So actively seeking out women, people of color, Black people, LGBTQ. I mean, as long as we have this in mind when we're hiring and making an actual effort to go beyond the first round of people that we know, I think is very important. It's a very first step that we can take for our sets to become more diverse.
Absolutely. In looking at myself and my own failings of being more proactive and being more anti-racist, right? Rather than being an ally, the goal is to be actively anti-racist.
Because if you're not actively, then you're actually condoning the behavior.
Exactly. So I think where I can look at myself and admit that where I have failed is just being exactly that, just being an ally and just being, I'm not going to not hire somebody because of their skin color. But then that means all I'm doing is waiting for them to be presented to me.
Right.
Right?
You have to actively seek.
Because the tale I was told out of the 92 riots. So I was living in Long Beach during the 92 riots.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And down there, you could just see LA burning. Fire, fire, fire. One fire would go out, another one would start. And that was terrifying. The story I was told from television and society, one, that it was a riot.
Right, not
solely,
a protest. Yeah, exactly.
Right? I read an article by Mark Brown from ABC, and he was a field reporter at the time, and he's like, we got the 92 riots wrong. We, as in the news media, we got it wrong. And we can't let that happen this time. So for me, coming out of that was, isn't it a shame that we're destroying our city rather than figuring out ways to peacefully protest and fix the problem? And that narrative is wrong.
Yes.
And that story, that lesson I learned out of that whole thing was incorrect.
Did what you see and how you were told and what society said about the 92 riots, did that mask some of the reality of what was happening now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because I think it did for a lot of folks that I've been seeing, like typing up shit.
Oh, right.
Having to correct them right away with like, it's just stores, folks.
You cannot equate property value with human life.
Exactly. And to be honest, it took pandemic and hurt and suffering and then brutalizing and murdering a Black man on camera in order to wake everybody up.
Again, though.
In a failing economy.
In a failing economy, yeah. So we are going to do some rethinking about our show here, our little podcast show, and how we can be more proactively anti-racist and figure out what we can do. Because, you know, again, like, I don't know a Black executive producer. What can be done?
What can be done?
To create opportunities for people of color and not just talk about diversity, right?
Actively seeking out crew members who are non-white needs to be a priority.
BIPOC.
And if opportunities or learning, you know, taking on people to teach too should be a priority as well. Because our business is mostly learned.
Yeah.
Like apprenticeships or mentorships or, hey, you got a computer? Do you know Excel? Great. That's how I would say a lot of us started.
Yeah.
Anybody can have the opportunity. It's who you choose to give that opportunity to. So we do have enough power to change the course.
And there are a lot of listeners that do as well. And so understanding that you do hold a lot of power, you do hold the keys to opportunity, that's where you can start and start to understand how to better use that power. I saw a great protest sign that says, I understand that I will never understand. Right. But with you, I stand.
Yes, because it's so true. I will never understand. Ever. No. Never.
No.
We're calling it out. We're admitting to it.
Yep. And we are going to do the best we can on this show. You're going to see our work. And we're going to stumble. We're going to make mistakes.
Yes. It's all part of the learning process here.
Yes.
Right? Because we need to be educating ourselves. And we need to be using whatever platform or privilege that we have in order to share the access. The denial of a job to somebody because you did not post for the sole reason of feeling weird is no longer, I think, the excuse that can be used to not do it. Yes. And that's part of what I think when we were talking about, you know, mentioning all of these items on the show is I would rather get called out and educate and use myself as an example than I would to stay quiet any longer. Stay
quiet, right. We cannot stay quiet anymore.
And I saw this poster that I think you would like. It said, put an avocado on racism so white people pay attention.
Amazing.
So
I'll share one more with you. I'll share one more with you. Treat racism like COVID-19. Assume you have it and figure out how not to spread it.
Oh, yeah. And then one of the things that I'm nervous about, which was, how deep seated my racism is. Because I know. I grew up in the South, and my dad, a lot of stuff. But not only is just hearing it like that, it's actually the institutions that we, have. And
that are quietly operating in the background that we don't even see.
Hearing your random uncle talk about welfare, shit that you have no idea it's forming an opinion in your mind.
So guys, you're going to watch us do the work.
Yeah. And
on the show.
We're going to provide some learnings and teachings and films and documentaries and podcasts and all other types of things as resources to let you come along with us.
Yes. So we are going to put a page on our website with some resources.
These resources, they're for you to educate yourself on the issues of racism that have long plagued our society, as well as a link to actionable things that you can do to support the Black Lives Matter movement.
So that will be on our website on a new page.
Full transparency. These are links that somebody else has done the work, and we're posting them on our site so you have access for them.
I think that's important to say, but it's a link created by Black Lives Matter. And they did the work. So we didn't want to scrape the website, put all the links on our own website and make it look like we've done the work. That wouldn't be fair. So we're linking directly to a list that is updated and kept current by Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
So we'll put that in the show notes. Okay, Christian, I guess we should talk about the reopening of California to film production.
Sure. Sure.
Sure.
Well, we've been talking about it for fucking 6 weeks now. And
we have. So as I said, I've been ignoring it very decidedly so because I needed my energy to go into everything else that's happening. So now, catching up, last Friday, Gavin Newsom did say that June 12th is the date for reopening. And the California Department of Public Health said in a statement on Friday that music, TV, and film production may resume in California, recommended no sooner than June 12th, and subject to approval by county public health officers within the jurisdiction of operations, following their review.
That's a mouthful.
I know. It's a long sentence. Following their review of local epidemiological data, including cases per 100,000 population, rate of test positivity, and local preparedness to support a healthcare surge, vulnerable populations, contact tracing, and testing. All that to say...
Yes.
The white paper is out there.
Yeah. I'm overwhelmed by it because I know that the debate has heated up among us, and these tasks can be overwhelming. Nothing's mandated. We're being asked to do things that medical professionals should be doing. It's not mandated that a medical professional I guess you could go to the HIPAA laws, but it's just, I'm already hearing about shoots in Florida and I believe Texas where PAs are doing it. And it's overwhelming in the sense of what is the right thing to do and what we should pay attention to and what we shouldn't pay attention to. And getting back to the conversation we've had before, Lawrence, about, Slates for Sarah and how that producer was held liable for the
Several
actions.
Producers.
And the
first
AD, right?
Yeah.
Tried to find something from the Guild about it, by the way. They're not speaking on it, which I feel like they should, at least removing that AD from the Guild.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole nother train we could go down. But my point is that the unions obviously have weighed in on this, but nothing is mandated. The production companies have weighed in on it. Nothing's mandated. So it's going to be a cherry pick of what we should be doing. And we're already overburdened with the addition of no clients and agencies coming. So live streaming and endless Zooms all day long.
Yeah.
All the other steps that ask. You need an entire production team just to handle the suggestions.
Yeah, it's a lot. I haven't been reached out to for anything regarding this yet, but I know you have. So luckily I haven't had to really dive into this too much, but it's here and it's going to start happening. The phones are going to start ringing, I imagine, at some point. And, as we learned before we stopped the show for a week, is that some numbers have been adjusted, right? The morbidity rate is now lower than what was originally thought. And the promise from Garcetti and Newsom was that their reopening would be based on science. And one of the important factors is the R factor.
Yes.
Which is how many people one person spreads it to. It was up above 2, which means it doubles by every person. And that's when it gets out of control. And now the whole goal is to get it down to 1 or below 1. So one person can only infect one other person during their course of having the virus. So maybe we're there. And it is as simple as somebody you shared with me in CoPro said, hand sanitize, distance, face masks. If we focus on those 3 real things, is that all that needs to happen?
Yeah, and subway rides and commuting.
Exactly. And that doesn't take away. What are they doing at home? It doesn't take away those open doors to some sort of liability. Anyways, I feel like I'm rambling because I don't really have structure.
Well, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't have a structured somebody saying this is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
We have guidelines from a task force of the unions. They're trying to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And the companies. And their agencies and clients and sometimes directors are not going to be on set. So the people who are doing the work are the ones in danger, and the ones in charge, me and you, are the ones who are concerned, rightly so, about how to move forward. And I think that anybody who says that they can be 100% safe is not being truthful with themselves, because nothing's 100% with this thing. It's silent.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's that.
That's that. We should get along to our interview. Mercedes Allen-Sarria is Helo's Director of Production and Immersive Content in Los Angeles, overseeing productions for all of the company's commercial and experiential projects. A longtime producer and volunteer with AICP, she spent her entire career fostering relationships between production, agencies, directors, unions, and the commercial industry at large. Before Helo, Mercedes spent 5 years at Biscuit as head of production, overseeing some of the biggest commercial campaigns during that time. Prior to becoming staff at Biscuit, Mercedes line produced and managed thousands of commercials both domestically and globally for over 15 years.
Thousands.
Thousands.
Over the last 4 years, Mercedes has been active in teaching at AICP's production training seminar and also co-creating the quarterly networking HOP brunch that for heads of productions across the industry. She has also had long-time involvement with several outreach organizations in Los Angeles, including Manifest Works, Streetlights, Prop Up, and Safe Place for Youth. For more information on these organizations, which are fantastic, we will include links in the show notes.
Yes. All right, let's take a listen.
Hello, Mercedes. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to find out from you how you're doing, how your family's doing, and are you located in LA?
I am located in North Hollywood, close enough to LA, yes. And we are doing okay. We've been pretty strict quarantine since, I think, early March. I think we started like a week earlier than everybody else. And we're surviving.
I think most people probably know you from Biscuit, but you were in the middle of a transition, right?
Yeah. So I was at Biscuit for 5 years as the head of production, and working at Biscuit, we started doing a little bit more experiential immersive work with the directors of the Glue Society. And I just loved that side of the world. And I mean, I have an art background. I went to film school. My mom's an artist. And it was so invigorating that I wanted to like learn more and tackle it. And Helo approached me, and that, you know, I'm really a big fan of their work. And it was very exciting timing to try to transition into like big live event experience. And Biscuit was so supportive. It was like a beautiful separation where they were like really excited for me. Glue Society was excited. Everyone was like stoked that I would be kind of transitioning into this world that I had clearly shared a passion for. And then, and then the world ended.
I mean, you and me both, you know, I stepped into the experiential world through a passion project of mine called the Alone Experience with my friend and partner, Devin Paulson. And then all of a sudden I saw my career and my commercial producing career kind of melding with experiential. And I thought, this is amazing. I love it. I was having so much fun doing these projects and started my own little immersive company. And then the world ended. And experiential is the complete antithesis of what we can do right now and for who knows how long.
Yeah.
So I know we can't get into company business with Helo, but how's the morale? How's the mood? What's the thinking?
We're okay. We're still seeing interesting board flow, whereas you wouldn't see, obviously there's no huge live events. So it's more kind of in-home experiences. But yeah, I think morale it's all guys and one girl. And they're a really cool group of guys. They have big, big, big hearts. And there's a lot of like sanity check-ins and mental health check-ins. And, in some ways, like the work from home structure, which was part of when they had approached me about the job, they had said, you can work from home, which was a big deal for me because I'm, I would consider myself to be a new mom. And it's been very difficult to have so much time away from the family.
Yeah.
In some ways, this company is structured for this type of occasion. Everybody's all over the world, and it was already kind of built to communicate like this. So I haven't felt that was a big rift in the system, this sort of work from home protocol. But as a mom, it is
right. What age range is your child?
I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's nonstop.
Yeah.
It is nonstop. I currently have pink eye, which I'm sure is from changing shitty diapers.
Nice. And your husband's working from home too, right? So there's a trade-off back and forth.
No, in some ways I'm not lucky because he's not working, but in some ways I'm lucky because he's not working. So my husband is a DJ and primarily weddings and like art shows and live events.
Yeah.
So, and then his other job is doing background acting on commercials.
So the two things are.
So my husband will be out of work for a very long time, which I'm lucky because he's full on stay-at-home dad right now. Like my co-HOP at Biscuit, her and her husband are both working, and they have children almost the same age. So it's like I'm lucky. I'm not in that situation. I don't know how she's doing it. She's an angel sent from heaven, but. It's still difficult nonetheless.
Well, I have an interesting question. I'd like to dive a little deeper into what you're saying on experiential home experiences. What has it been like? And I'm not sure whether you can speak to this directly or not, but to manage clients' expectations, because, what experiential was before were these, huge live touching events where we used to touch people in public. But now, how is that, making people think smaller and more intimate going in that industry?
I'm pretty shocked by the camaraderie that I'm seeing across the board. I think that client expectations they're very understanding of the situation and remote shooting and not being able to be there. And I'm pretty surprised that, everybody seemingly has been able to adapt so quickly to the opposite of what it was like before, which is just, I hate to say it, but client expectations were bananas,
Bananas.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. I'm happy. I feel like, everybody says there's the sentence like, when we go back, right? So it's like, I truly hope as a society we learn so much from this and that there's not a go back, right? And I hope that translates into our professional careers as well. I don't think that we should go back to a lot of the ways we were working and, the hours that we were working and the amount of expectations. I feel like that's being heard and felt across the board. I truly hope that sustains.
That's very promising because everyone we speak to and everyone that I know feels the same way. And if we're all feeling the same way, it's a tentative hope. It's nice. Maybe we can do something.
I feel like, I know obviously not everybody in the world has kids, but a lot of people in this industry are really being at home for the first time with their family. And, as a producer, head of production, I didn't need that much time with my family. I was like working, my husband's like a better mom than I am, but I think that having the time to sit, whether you're with children or not, has shifted all of our brains a little bit to where we're like, I think for the first month and a half, we were fucking crawling out of our skin because it's so uncomfortable to be alone. Or, you know, in my case, even like as if in a family setting, it's not what we're used to, especially being producers or in this industry. And I think now that we're in the past that month and a half, we're like, okay, we can sit, we can
and
be.
It's nice.
It's nice. Yeah. So I do think that if we're feeling that, clients are feeling that too. Everybody's kind of feeling that, you know, and yes, there's this mad dash feeling of like, we want to get back, but to work. But I think it's like, I feel like there'll be a collective camaraderie, I hope, that sustains.
Yeah, we hope so too. And that's kind of been a theme of our show going forward, is that it's been a question we've asked everybody. You know, what would you like to see change in this industry? We've all just been forced to stop, slow down, make our lives a little bit smaller, forced to slow down and just really think about what it means. What do you want most out of life?
Yeah.
And now's the opportunity. You know, it's like when it comes to production, we're literally rewriting the rule book, right?
Yeah.
But we can also do that with our lives and how the industry works as a whole and how we want to participate in it.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear you say that. And I know we spoke a lot during those early few days, and there were a lot of emotions, and it was really scary up front. But now I'm glad to hear that you say, you know, everyone was able to take a breath and really think about it and work collaboratively. And it's good to hear, because I think as producers, client expectations make us a little nervous going into real shoots right now, because there's so much more at stake.
I was on a AICP board call, and I won't say the name of the production company, but they're a big, prominent production company. They turned down a job that was seemingly well-funded because the agency and client demanded to be present.
Wow, really?
And I think it was overseas even. And they were like, we'll do it, we'll quarantine, and the production company's like, no, we don't want the job. It's not
liability taking.
It's
There's
liability.
so much.
It's like, and also, what's that going to say to the crew? You know, and so I was so impressed. I mean, this is a badass production company, and I was like, if I didn't think you were badass enough, I think even more.
That's amazing.
That is amazing, and that's really good to hear, because somebody wrote into the show last week saying there needs to be some tough love from production companies to the agencies.
Yeah.
They're looking to us to lead them through this. We're the experts in how to make this happen. And so we need to be strong and say, no, we can't do it that way. This is how it has to be done.
Take back some of the power in the relationship, because I feel like we've all been scrambling to get the jobs for so long that undercutting each other, that's a whole different cultural thing though. So if we take the power back now, we'll see.
Yeah.
Now, what about budgets? Have you seen any sort of numbers floating around out there attached to jobs? Because there's definitely probably a shift going to be happening there.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a shift. There's a lot of like, we're still sort of in that game of, which it was even before I had left Biscuit, of like, can you tell us how much this is going to cost?
Yeah, right.
Or how much can I get for my $100,000? Can you tailor your creative around this?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, budgets have been evolving and shifting quite dramatically over the past like year and a half. And I don't think that this is going to change that. I think if agency or client have expectations that budgets will go down even more because crew size will be smaller, I think they're wrong. We have a lot more responsibility on our hands. PPE, cleaning crews, you know, staggering calls, all of this is going to cost a lot of money. So I think agency and clients need to have an understanding of that, which I feel like they do. I don't know. I'm feeling very pro them right now in this conversation, but
that's good though. That's good. That's giving us some hope. You know, you have so many experiential directors on your roster. We had both Kyle Ruddick and Annie Saunders on a show, and most of their work is so passionate and human-based and involves the human interaction. And how are they doing? Have you been speaking to the roster, and, you know, what advice are you giving them to kind of get through this?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to a couple of people on the roster, and I think they're in that same space Lawrence, too. I think the first month, I think now the settle in has happened where they understand that they're going to have to evolve in this space as well. I'm getting the sense from a few of them, they're sending in ideas on projects and like really thinking outside of the box and possibly putting themselves in positions of uncomfort, as we all are, of new ways to kind of pivot and do projects. And I'm just really impressed. It's incredible. And I feel like that from a lot of directors. I mean, Noah Murrow sent me a text last night at midnight of a video that he did. I'll send it to you. It's called A Love Letter to Los Angeles that he just made on his own. I'm seeing like all of these projects out there and it is stunning. It's beautiful. And I think directors are remembering their craft, and even experiential directors, and trying to figure out how to pivot. And, they want to get out and create so badly. Right. So I think maybe the first month it was like, what am I going to do? I'll never do anything again. And then it's like, wait, now I can do this. And, we're seeing directors email us like beautiful, incredible ideas to try to sell to clients and agencies. So I'm very quite proud of everyone really on the roster.
That's great.
All the emotions, the anxiety that has been felt, and the closeness and being with ourselves is starting to turn into some pretty creative things.
I think so. Yeah, I really do. I feel like, Lawrence, you and I had talked, I think, the first week of shutdown, and I was like sobbing to you on the phone in a stroller.
I was sobbing to him too.
Yeah, we were all sobbing to each other.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
I was like 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of this pandemic. I'm like one of those weirdos who follow like conspiracy theory Instagram. And so I'm seeing all of this like at the end of December. And I kept telling my husband, I'm like, this shit's real. Like something's about to go down. And we went to Hawaii for a wedding at the beginning of February, and the airport at Hawaii, I mean, there were people in full hazmat suits and masks.
Wow.
Like, the outbreak is what I call it.
we flew, and I'm like, something's up. Something doesn't feel right. So when all of this started and I was talking to you, Lawrence, I really, truly felt like we were all going to quarantine the whole world for like a month and it was going to disappear. I did. I didn't think that we would be where we are now. So now that that's kind of sunk in and this is like the reality, and we're all figuring out how the fuck do we survive this and, keep our houses and everything, like we've moved past that point of discomfort and now we're kind of in survival mode, which is exciting for artists, right? That's how we thrive. So
totally.
We're going to make it.
Yeah. Good.
Taking us back to the crying time.
Yes.
I know that I know of people who still have not received unemployment, or their claims have not been approved yet. And I know I've also helped people that I've known across the country get into their state system and just walk them through it. So do you have advice you'd like to share?
Yeah. So my husband, obviously we tried to set up his, excuse me. Sorry.
It's all right.
You're going to the car wash?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm on a podcast right now, okay? Okay? Can you say okay? No? Okay. Okay, get down.
Those are strangers.
I think he just gave us a 1-star rating.
Stranger danger.
This is what it's like to work from home, by the way. It's So unemployment, I helped my husband. So when I say me, it was for him, but I helped my husband sign up for unemployment almost like a week before lockdown because he hadn't worked the week prior. This is the first time that he had ever done unemployment other than paid family leave. But I've done it for years as a freelancer.
Right. Yeah,
right?
Of course.
So I felt like I understood and knew the system. It was insane. And then I had this fear like, okay, well, I'm going to die. And he's not going to get the unemployment. And nor is he going to like know or figure out the system because it's so fucking complicated. It's like you have to be a brain surgeon to understand the EDD system. We got locked out for almost 7 weeks from payment because they said that he failed to prove his identity, which was a new thing.
What?
Yeah, you have to like send it. Now you have to send in proof of like your mortgage statement and your bills and pictures.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's bananas. And we had sent it all in a timely manner. So I appealed the decision and I sent in an 18-page appeal with like
an insurance claim,
text messages, and like a screenshot of my husband carrying the envelope on the Ring camera. I mean, I did not like,
Wow.
shit out of that appeal packet. And I'm with the kids at dinner one night. It's like 6:30 at night. And my phone rings and they're like, "Hi, is Matteo Sarria there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who's this?" She's like, "Oh, it's so-and-so from EDD." And I'm like, "Oh my God, don't." It was like I won the lottery.
Wow.
So if I lose, you call me back. Let me plug my phone in the charger. And she had said that she wanted to personally call me because in all her years of working at EDD, she had never seen an appeal packet that amazing before.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
And then she apologized.
That's the best compliment I've ever heard anyone get. Go on.
Yeah. I actually ended up, Lauren saw I posted on a Facebook group, and I've done like a couple of Zooms with like strangers just to walk them through at least what we experienced, which was appealing identity issues. And it's insane. It's really difficult. And, I think they're going to take away that extra $600 and I don't know how we're going to survive.
I mean, Mitch McConnell literally said over their dead bodies, are they going to extend that? So thank you.
Yeah.
I was surprised in the beginning, too, how many 1099 people, even though it was national news and everything, who did not realize that they could apply. So that was kind of what I was doing, was helping out strangers or people that I had met on one job in the last 10 years or so, like just walking them through, nope, this is how you do it. My sister, everybody. Yeah. So I think it was a great service that you did because we've all paid into it.
Right. We've all paid into it, and it shouldn't be that difficult. It just shouldn't. The questions are tricky. They're hard to understand. I do like SOWs and contracts for a living. And I know I'm slow at it because I stop and read every sentence carefully. And really have to do the same thing to just try to get like some food on my table.
Well, so since you bring up SOWs now, I do have a question for you because we know that insurance companies aren't covering cancellations.
Exactly where I'm going to go.
No, thank you. Lawrence and I have also been getting calls for work. And, I've been questioning the companies who have called me to find out what they're doing. Are they adding, clauses to their contract to say if cancellations happen, client has to pay?
Yes. AICP has issued a sort of blanket statement to add as a suggestion to add to every contract. Some agencies don't agree. Some do. Some production companies won't allow it unless they do agree. So it's kind of all over the place. But yes, there is a 4-sentence thing that is blanketed across the board that everyone is adding. And if you're not, you should be. And if you don't have it, email me.
Wow.
No, a unified front is the only way we're going to get
the only way.
I am so impressed by, a lot of people before this didn't really know what the AICP was. And I as a board member, obviously I've been really involved with them for years and have helped teach some of their training seminars. And I'm just totally impressed by the work that they've done. They do Monday through Thursday from 11 to like 12:30 every single day. There's a town hall. One is business affairs, one is labor, one is open, one is insurance. They're walking everybody through this. Today is a women's forum town hall. I think that they're really very quickly rallied together to create a united front. Andrew Smuggler and a couple other people worked on COVID coming back sort of guidelines, and the AICP adapted those. So yeah, I think without becoming, collusion-y, we all need to be united on some things. So I think that they're really doing an incredible job.
That is awesome. That's really good to hear.
Those are the guidelines that set the standard for the non-union companies too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, Mercedes, what do you know about workers' comp? I know in California, the governor declared that workers' comp needs to cover COVID-19. Yeah. But other places, that's not the case.
I don't think it's New York yet, yeah.
I haven't wrapped my head around this, Lawrence. I haven't wrapped my head around, and I think even being on these insurance town halls where the insurance companies are like, right, but it's going to be, how do you prove that that's where you get it, right?
Contact tracing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that is going to work or help, or if you get it from work and you can prove you got it from work, it's still like a global pandemic. And is it the fault of the employer if they're doing temperature checks and cleaning? And it's a weird one for me. I'm stumped because, I don't want to see companies go out of business for just trying to keep everyone working. But on the flip side, the government saying, at least the Republicans are like, yeah, we'll give you this, this, and this if you give us an immunity clause. And at the same time, an immunity clause is very dangerous for people too, because if I sign that and you're not holding your end of the bargain of providing PPE and cleaning crews and all this stuff, and I do really get sick at work, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. I think immunity clauses are a dangerous, tricky road to go down, but I also feel like workers' comp for this is a dangerous, tricky road. And I don't know. I don't know if that's even a great answer. It's like, I can't wrap my head around it.
Well, it's echoing the conversations, Christian, and I have been having with everybody for the past, a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you should not sign away your right. You should not waive a company's right if they're misbehaving and not giving you the protective gear you need or setting up basic standards.
Then there should be some sort of then in the protection of the companies, there has to be something like, okay, well, if we agree to do this, 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 and this, I don't know that you're not going out at night.
Or you can even
mass
go
transit.
off, if you're prepping a job and you run off to Chipotle for lunch, you could have picked it up there, and we don't have control over that. So it's a big question mark, both the liability and the workers' comp, because there's one thing for the production company side, right? And then there's one thing for the crew side. But then there's us line producers who, after the Sarah Jones case, obviously we have responsibility to the crew for their safety. So does the first AD. That sad experience of the Sarah Jones accident neglect shows that even the freelance line producers are held accountable for that kind of safety. So then if companies are protected with a waiver, if crews are protected with workers' comp, I still feel like there's an open door for us freelance line producers in terms of responsibility and liability when it comes to crew safety. And we're not doctors.
No, we're not doctors.
Struggling to figure out how to navigate that.
I'm in the same boat, Lawrence. I can't quite wrap my head around it, and also I think that the expectations of the industry at large we're being held to such a standard that other companies and corporations aren't. So it's very strange times indeed. And I worry about crew members signing away things that they shouldn't be. But then, as somebody who works at a company, I worry about the liability of the company with the ability to file workers' comp. I mean, I could go on and on. It's confusing to me. It's very confusing. And the amount of responsibility, yes, for producers and line producers is everyone's saying, oh, the PAs are going to have to do all this cleaning. No. No way. So that goes back to the budgets too. Don't expect there to be, teeny tiny budgets because of teeny tiny crew. There's a lot of costs.
There's a lot more
with the level of protection that we're all due.
And time. And more time. It's all going to take more time.
Which is more prep days and more. It just takes longer. I was on a crew call last night where a few people have been on a set and it's very safe, but they were working with masks on, and they said that it was like breathing 70% of, their oxygen intake was just much less. The fatigue that sets in from wearing your mask all day long and working in it is something that can't be described unless you do it. So the amount of work that we were able to do, and then 12-hour days plus an hour commute each way it's only going to leave you susceptible to getting sick.
Yeah. My brother-in-law is a bioengineer, and he has a badass biotech company. He was one of the first companies to create a COVID test. He has these modular units. The company's called Biomeme. He has these modular units basically that you can do testing right then and there with these units. And you don't need to send it off to a lab. You get results. You can do 9 tests in an hour. And I've been talking to him a lot about, approaching production companies or studios about What if we did testing before people came on set? It's rapid testing. There's still a lot to figure out with like HIPAA and everything, but then we could kind of all feel comfortable. Eventually, tests are going to be like pregnancy tests. We're going to have to take them all the time because this is not going anywhere. So he and I have been discussing that a lot.
Right. Because if we leave set and take the subway home, or just like Lawrence said, touching a doorknob or like anything, if you have accidentally done the one thing that puts it into your system and then come to set the next day, it's not like you're going to have an immediate fever or a cough or any symptoms when you walk back in. And the way contact tracing is working now, we know that in a few weeks that, the pool party that happened, things can get traced back to that. And like 5 people who were at the party have it. And I think that's how sets are going to go too. There were 7 people on this movie that caught it during this week.
As a mom with very small children, we are trying to figure out like a pod system of opening up with another family.
Right. Yeah.
We've opened up with another family. One of my best friends from college, him and his wife have a little boy who's in between age of my 2 boys. It's constant communication. Where have you been this week? Who have you been around? How are you feeling? Is it cool if we come in the house? Mateo went to a doctor's appointment this week, but he had a mask on the entire time. How do you feel about that? Oh, you want to take a 2-week break? Okay, but you can't do that with a crew of like 100 people, right?
No, you can't. Yeah.
I think that contact tracing, and I think if this testing, if I can figure this out with Biomeme and bring in these testing capabilities, it could kind of be a game changer where it's like, no, you got to go home, and the fever checks are interesting, but it's like now they're saying it's really pulse ox monitors that are more important than fevers, so I don't know, bananas.
There's a lot to figure out still. And, we can talk, these small practicalities to death, but what about the bigger picture?
To death.
What would you like to see bigger in the industry change, a new way of working, or for yourself? How would you like to, now that we've had this great pause where we can really take stock of our lives? It's like last year I had the busiest year I've ever had, and it damn near killed me, and I don't want to do that again. Yeah. And I can see that now. What would you like to see be different coming out of this?
I'm going to answer this question in 2 ways. One as a freelancer and one as staff.
Okay.
As staff, and somebody who's worked in the office 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, plus all the hours at home and in the morning and the night, I feel like the office structure should be shifted. I think that this clearly shows the capability of working from home is possible. I think for the environment, it's important to have work from home. I don't understand, it was like 1920 that the 9 to 6 hours were created.
Yeah. It had more to do with like farming and our agriculture than anything.
It doesn't apply to our current society.
So as a staff worker who's also a parent, I feel like there needs to be a massive shift in office structure. I don't think you need to be at work from 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, chained to your computer. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think that it's good for mental health, let alone physical health. And I think that there's a lot that we can do from home, which is helpful to our hearts and our souls and also our environment. So that's how I feel on the staff side of things. As freelancers, I feel like it's important, this pause, and what should be learned from it is speaking up for yourself, right? Like I think about, there was a producer who passed away mid-job a couple years ago. I believe he had pneumonia, and, it was a little bit after Sarah Jones. And it's like, as freelancers, I would go into the office with pneumonia, with a breathing machine, and still finish my time cards, because like I felt like you're never allowed to speak up for yourself or call in sick. You work. You don't ever not work, right? And so as freelancers, I feel like what should be learned from this is the ability to speak up for yourself and make sure that you're being protected. You're really going to have to say like, time out. I don't see you guys cleaning enough. There's a level of expectation that's going to be on the production companies and the freelancers to be able to have that voice. And I hope that they're like empowered to some degree as they go back and not feeling like, well, we have to do it or we'll never work again. It's like, well, you guys have a lot of power, you know, we need you.
It's kind of how, you know, people are feeling. A lot of people out there are feeling as though they're going to be asked to do things that they don't want to, but they need to because they haven't worked. So I hope it empowers people as well.
Yeah. And also for freelancers, you guys know how much you can get done from home instead of in the office.
Oh my God.
I mean,
going into the office and doing your time cards. When I was HOP at Biscuit, I was like, you guys go home. Like I never walked around the bays to see if they were there because I would see them like chatting me all day, texting me. Like, I know you're working. I know
they're working.
You're working hard. And thank you so much. You know, I think as freelancers, like, creating that boundaries of, you know, I don't need to be in your office around all your people. I'm better off working at home. I'm faster and more efficient. Have some faith and trust in me. And I think all the freelancers that worked at Biscuit valued that I had that faith and trust in them. And I wasn't like monitoring or policing. And I think all other production companies need to take that into account too. We don't need to see them to trust that they're working. They are working their asses off.
There are definitely studies that say, you know, like if you have a 5-day work week, that's how long it takes for you to get the work done. If you have a 4-day work week, that's how long it takes for you to get the same amount of work done.
Exactly.
So I know that when I'm working from home, it's a 3 or 4 hour like push, and then it's maintenance. It's not, you know, 10 hours worth of just like chatting with people and getting up and going to get the coffee and all the stuff you do in an office because you don't need to be there.
I actually have had a conversation with somebody. I'm in Los Feliz to get to a production company in Santa Monica. You know, that's an hour, 15 hour and a half out of my day both ways. That's 3 hours that I can't really work. And especially when you're working with different time zones, it's like I'm up at 6 because it's 9 in New York and I'm on the phone until 11 because then it's after lunch in New York. I've actually had somebody say, well, you can take calls and answer texts while you drive in to work. And I'm like, no, I can't.
Right before I went staff at Biscuit, I was doing a job at Skunk, I think. Skunk. And they're downtown, and I live in North Hollywood. So I decided every day I was going to take the subway. Yeah. And it was like the best. So I would text my producer in the morning. Yeah. And be like hopping on the subway, you know, I'm off radio for a half hour. And I read a book. I read the book in 20
years. So nice.
It was unbelievable. And so, no, I can't read your fucking emails on my way into work all the time. Like boundaries. Please, if there's anything we learn from this, it's boundaries, you know? And that was like one of the best jobs of my career because I had 1 hour. Of course, it was before I had children, but it was like 1 hour of time on my own, you know, setting those boundaries.
Yeah. A lot of people say that they miss commute.
Yeah.
People who aren't in our industry because it's the one time a day that they're away from their families and they get to just listen to a book or, you know, like chat with their mom on the phone or whatever it is that you get to do alone on your commute.
And they don't have to worry about the permit office closing or something while they're
Exactly.
I think like as a parent who's not used to working from home, who's now working at home, I find myself very uncomfortable throughout the day with not having the space that I'm used to having at work. And also, I'm still working every day and, you know, Zooms and calls and bidding and all this stuff. But it's like, I don't feel as important or like needed as I'm used to because I'm not like with coworkers all day. I'm with my kids and like, they need me, but like they're abusive.
Yeah. And they just need your attention, not your intellect.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. This was amazing and such just a nice little insertion of hope on my end. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
We probably covered it, but I'm going to ask again, what do you miss most?
I miss my mom. I miss, I feel like I'm going to cry. I miss my mom. I think, I know that's like a weird answer because it should be about work.
It's not.
No, it doesn't need to be about work.
Yeah.
Work is not our life.
I feel very lonely sometimes in the city. It's a very lonely city. And I didn't know how much I missed my family until this, Sorry.
It's
No,
okay. I miss my mom too. I just had a call with her and I can't see her because she's in a gated community and they're not allowing guests. And so
my mom lives in New Mexico and it's like, how do we do this? That's what I missed a lot.
My mom and I didn't talk very much the last few years. And so this has made us talk a lot more. And it's been nice because if this wouldn't have happened, I would not have regained the relationship. Mm-hmm. So I think that this has affected all aspects of our life. And because of who we are and the industry we work in, it's tied to work. Our life is tied to work in so many ways. Yeah. And so to actually think about that portion makes us almost feel guilty. And so that's part of the rebuild that we're doing right now, the boundaries.
My husband is a very strange, amazing person, but he's one of the
mine too.
He picks up the phone and calls people all the time, all day. He's talking to
really
somebody.
He's one of those that just calls people unannounced.
Like pre-COVID, I'm like would watch him pick up the phone and call his friend for an hour, and I'm like, oh, that just I can't. I would rather text, And now, in this COVID world, I've talked, like last night, instead of watching TV, I talked to one of my best friends from college for 2 hours. And, finding those human connections has been incredible in this experience. Yeah. And I don't know if I would change that. I think, and being comfortable with saying like, I miss my mom, or reconnecting with people that we had strange relationships with, now I think when something like this happens, you realize how badly you need human connection.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, an unannounced FaceTime call before now would have been like
cringeworthy.
Block me from my phone. How dare you? Now I can't wait.
What's up?
Yeah.
100% agree with that. I as much as I miss people, I think I've spent more time with people in the last 3 months than I have in a very long time.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Mercedes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Boundaries.
Yehuda was onto something, it seems. We spoke to Yehuda about boundaries as well. I remember that conversation because it was the beginning of my discovery that I could set some boundaries, or I needed to set some boundaries.
There you
go. Mercedes nailed it in a few different ways. And the need that we feel to be available 24 hours a day. You get a text at 11 p.m., you answer it. The inability to let it go.
Yeah.
The anxiety it gives you until you answer it. And I find myself not necessarily feeling that anymore. And it's nice. And I don't want to go back to it.
I don't want to go back to it either. And I think it self-demonstrated right at the end there when we asked her what does she miss, and she apologized for saying her mom. She said it should be about work, and that's so ingrained in us. And I hope we can all let that go. Because I miss my mom too.
I miss my mom too. Great talk.
Yes. And I'm glad the AICP is being so proactive. That's really good to hear.
I can't wait to see what they have going on. So, Lawrence, this show is edited and co-produced by Rob Bloomkey.
Artwork and logo design by Christopher Daniels.
And our music was composed by Kyle Puccia.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We're back tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay connected, stay active, but please keep staying home if you can.
Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Sorry, I just threw up a little because I was thinking about how dirty your phone was. Oh. And if you are going outside, please wear a mask.
With some shade. Be sure to send us your voice recordings or your emails to producershappyhour@gmail.com.
Lawrence, they know who they are. People, they want to get you. How can they?
LawrenceTLewis.com, or for voiceover work for your commercials, voiceoflawrence.com.
All your ads, all your
ads, all of them. Christian, what about you? How do people get you? They want you.
SisterChristianProduces.com. And should we tell them that we'll take a sponsor too if they're interested?
Yeah.
Let's
Anybody
go.
wants to sponsor, put you at the top of the show.
Right up there. All right. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye.